And now it's high time to ruin the fakes produced by Russian propaganda. Alongside my co-host tonight, this is Oleksandr Zamkovoi, who's the fact-checker from StopFake. Hello and welcome. We're going to start and we're going to discuss the cases that you've selected during the last week. So, Russia keeps using the language as a weapon of war. And this time, the Kremlin media reported that the Ukrainian military allegedly shelled a car with a woman and a child inside of this car because of the Russian language. How did fact-checkers reveal the truth and of what really happened? See right now.
The alleged Ukraine soldiers stopped the car and began to threaten the woman who speaks Russian. Later in the video, sounds of shootings are heard. Russian media claim the Ukrainian military insulted and humiliated a mother and a child because of the language. Special attention is paid to a Balkan-Cross cross picture on the vehicle.
The insignia of the vehicles of the Armed Forces of Ukraine are also noteworthy. It was with such signs that Nazis designated themselves, who destroyed the Russian people on the territory of the USSR during the Second World War.
In fact, the Ukrainian military put solid crosses, called Cossack Cross, on their cars to distinguish themselves from the Russian forces. Meanwhile, a video shows Wehrmacht crosses. Apart from that, a number of OSINT activists were able to establish the exact geolocation where the video was filmed. It took place on the territory of the temporarily Russian-occupied Donetsk Oblast, between Donetsk and Makiivka. Ukraine's intelligence also found other proofs that the information is fake.
Video editing is poor. At 1:35, a soldier fires using an assault rifle near the car, but there are no loud gunshots. The car window is open. There was a conversation through the window. There is no sound of the window closing. When the car is driving back, you can hear that the window is open again. There was a shot because on the video, you can see the explosion of shell casings. At the moment, there should be at least some sound.
The video was criticized even by several Russian propagandists for the show, and the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, after finding out the video was fake, deleted it in few moments after posting.
Oleksandr, when I saw the first time this video, so I just mentioned to myself that it's made even better than some of the Russian professional movies. But still, is it really hard to uncover the fake movies? Maybe you got some life hacks or something that helps you to uncover those fake movies.
Well, we can say that we have some professional life hacks, of course, but we also are very grateful for our community because during the last 8 years we built a tremendous community who can debunk fakes like this themselves, and it helps us a lot because geolocation of this video was understood, I think, like in 2 or 3 hours from the first time it was posted on social media. Unfortunately, for them and luckily for us, they really they've chosen the very bad road because this is one of the main roads which you can find in the outskirts of Makiivka in Donbas region near Donetsk, we debunked that at the same day. And what is interesting here that actually this fake was picked up by the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this was something unusual because usually they wait for the fake to spread and then they publish it on their social media channels. And this time there was a kind of desynchronization between debunking of this fake. Everyone already knew that this is a fake video, but they posted that and stressed out that this is actually what happened. And of course, they tried to appeal to this pro-Kremlin narrative about Nazis in Ukraine. And it was already, it was very laughable video already because when you see this video, you can clearly check that the moves of the woman and of the soldiers, they do not correspond to the audio, which was probably added afterwards. And also all these crosses on the machinery that were used, also like this is like a mentioning of the Second World War again, which is something important for Russians, but ridiculous for Europeans and for the rest of the world. But of course, it's vital and crucial to debunk these fakes, because they can really reach some people who do not understand the context and truly can believe that actually in Ukraine some military some Ukrainian representatives of Ukrainian armed forces could be Nazis or could treat people like this.
Yeah, you can trace it.
That's why we debunked this fake. This was a number one in our priority.
But remembering the unprofessional role-playing of those actors, that's what I call the low-budget Russian movie.
Yeah,
now,
we can say that. Of course.
Yeah, let's move on. And our second case and second fake, it's connected with the biological weapons, because this is another well-known topic by Russian propaganda. But the Kremlin somehow tries to justify its army losses, claiming that Ukraine has an anonymous weapon, for example, the combat mosquitoes, you remember, like the geese and whatsoever. But what propagandists came up with this time, let's get to know right now.
Ukraine recruits women chemists and biologists to be sent to the front line.
Russian media distribute information about the alleged increased mobilization of women in Ukraine, primarily with chemical and biological education. The Kremlin's so-called experts claim that Kiev is preparing for the use of biological or chemical weapons in this way. However, there is no ongoing mobilization of women in Ukraine.
There is no mobilization of women. Now there are changes regarding the accounting system. Until 2026, even Ukrainian women who have a medical specialty, the only one for which they can be mobilized, will not have to register. Other professions are only on a voluntary basis, Mahler explained.
The narrative about Ukraine's use of biological weapons on the battlefield was repeatedly spread by the Kremlin, but such fakes were never confirmed. For example, StopFake project refuted that the Pentagon allegedly created a drone for the distribution of biological weapons, infected mosquitoes, about the existence of unnamed aircraft of the Armed Forces of Ukraine for spraying poisonous substances, and that Ukraine allegedly distributed fake money infected with tuberculosis.
Well, it's not the first time they're using the biological weapons and the threats of this term, but still, this is maybe the first time they are trying to emphasize the fact of the mobilization of Ukrainian women. Why?
Well, because they try to sell to their population the idea that Ukrainian army is almost demoralized and we don't have any reserves. So the people are forced to go and fight against Russians, and they don't want to do that. That is why they try to convince Russians that Ukraine will no longer resist. And you see, even if women go and fight against Russians and they don't do that voluntarily, probably they don't have enough men to do this. But at the same time, we see the very strong rhetoric on the Russian TV channels that actually Ukrainian army is very strong, and now with the support of Western countries, we have enough military equipment to fight back our territories. So this is kind of confusing probably for the Westerners, but inside of the Russia you have plenty of voices, and they sell different ideas to their population just to mix this up, and so they couldn't really understand where is the truth. So today they speak about one they speak about one idea. Tomorrow this might be something different. That also depends on their inner politics and the situation in the war zone. Again, this is something illogical, but to produce different narratives, this is vital for propaganda, because if you stick to one explanation, something terrible can happen for you, and you will no longer have any answers. That is why you all the time you need to speak very loud and in very different voices.
Yeah, different kind of noises, informational, disinformational noises. But and following your points of view, recently, for example, the Russian media spread the information that a concentration camp, I'm not even joking right now, the concentration camp for those who do not want to fight with Russia was organized near Odessa. More about this in Spotlight Ukraine right now. Let's watch.
The Kiev regime organized a concentration camp in Odessa Oblast for Ukrainians who do not want to fight with Russia and refuse to be drafted into the troops. Yuri Barbashov, head of the administration of the Snegurivka district, told RIA Novosti.
Barbashov, the self-proclaimed head of the Snegurivka district, did not provide any factual photo or video evidence of the existence of the so-called concentration camp near Odessa. Odessa Oblast military administration claims that he simply made up this story and recorded a video, which was immediately distributed by the Russian media. Fakes are fakes. I would just like to mention that we have a lot of training grounds where Ukrainians prepare to destroy the enemy. So the enemy, brace yourself. Russian propaganda actively spreads fakes about mobilization in Ukraine with the aim of undermining Ukrainians' trust in the state and inflaming protest sentiments.
So what is the main aim of this fake? Is this about to disrupt the mobilization in Ukraine?
Again, they try to convince their own people that Ukraine is weak and won't fight anymore. But at the same time, these fakes, they are some kind of frightening for their own population, because they give them the idea that all that is happening in Ukraine really is very similar to the Second World War, and Ukrainians use the same methods. Unfortunately, we also need to debunk those fakes, even though they are kind of ridiculous. But showing the idea that Ukrainians don't want to fight against Russians, this also is the proof for the Russian Federation that actually some Ukrainians, they really do believe that they are like that Ukrainians and Russians are as the same nation, and that is why people just don't want to fight for Ukraine, because they think that actually this is like a part of Russia. Regarding this fake, probably this would be very interesting for me even to check if something similar is located in Odessa, because I am from Odessa. This is my native city. I've never heard anything more ridiculous than this, and I'm very glad that Sergei Brachuk really debunked this fake, and we can say that, of course, this is just to create this narrative about the Nazi Ukraine, who do not, where the population just do not want to fight against the Russian army.
But as an inhabitant of Odessa, now you have to admit the fact. Instead of the concentration camp, you do have the Sun 10 camp. Am I right?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll check that and discuss that next time.
Yeah, after the victory, we'll all come to Odessa to have and bathe under the sun, because the Sun 10 is what, and the sea is what Odessa is famous for. Thank you. See you next week. Oleksandr Zamkovoi, the guy from Odessa, or the fact checker from the StopFake, was the co-host of Spotlight Ukraine, and we continue. Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Latest news, trends, and analytics on all about Ukraine. Like, share, and subscribe. Any questions, proposals, and comments, contact us via email.